Welcome to the Chronically Healthy Life show. When you hear the word chronically, do you automatically associate it with chronic disease? We all do. It's been programmed right into us. But what if we flip that whole idea on its head? Let's discover how we can create chronic health in our bodies, our minds, our finances, our relationships, and of course, in our lives. Let's jump right on in. I'm Andy, and joining me in all things is my life partner, Min Wong.
Yeah, and of course, I took you to a vacation with me too.
Exactly.
So, we talk about chronically healthy life. Part of being healthy and life is that, when as life, we tend to have a lot of stress, right?
Yeah.
We kind of like a rubber band that's stretched all the time. So when we do relaxing, how do you unleash it, unwind it, let go of the rubber band.
Yep, you're taking away
So
the tension.
that's what the relaxation comes from, and that's what everybody needs. And from time to time, not all the time, but you do need it from time to time. And that's what we did, and we just came back yesterday.
Yes, I like Minna says, you need to stretch and grow, but sometimes overstretching can cause stress in the body, in our minds, and in our finances, right? And like Minna says, we just came back from Panama City. And it's funny, everyone said, wow, you're visiting Florida, how amazing. Well, no, we weren't going to Florida, Panama City. We we're actually going to, I guess, the original Panama City in Panama, or Panama Canal. And I got to say, check mark, we finally got to check off one of the wonders of the world.
Yeah,
they keep changing that, but I think it's still one of the 7 wonders or 8 wonders.
I don't know how many wonders. It's one of those wonders. And I think the wonder part is how much work it took to actually make this canal. And, now that we got the guy to explain it to us, the story is actually a lot more work than we actually anticipated.
It was quite the feat for the Panama Canal. And, we enjoyed the history. To be honest, I think we wasted probably an hour of our time waiting for the thing to drain. We didn't even wait for it to refill. But it was quite the amazing feat seeing how it all works, right?
Yeah, I mean, the engineering itself is great, but it's just water science, right? But
yeah,
I think it's the work they put into actually digging this canal and flooding part of the land that wasn't a lake before that. All that work, I think that's where the marvel comes into play.
Exactly. And then the amount of people, they said there was, that was really amazing. They said there was like 75,000 people that, that did all the work to do it. And, this was one of the trips we had, like, whenever we travel, we always have a tour guide. And this was our best tour guide because this was a private tour guide. This is the best one. Normally when a big group, and this one, we got this private driver and he's taking us around in his car, which is actually pretty good value because we got to ask him whatever we wanted, which was really fun in that aspect. But he was mentioning that it took 75,000 people to do all the digging and building of the canal. And I was like, wow, that's a lot of people that locally did. Well, it wasn't really built by locals. Out of the 75,000, there were only 300 locals that did it. Everyone else was imported in. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. And that's why they said that, the population is so diverse. And surprise to us, there was like a large Chinese population there that did a lot of digging there.
Yeah, I mean, Panama seems like a odd choice for a vacation. We chose that partly because I want to see the canal, and partly because Panama is actually one of the popular expat locations. The people tend to retire there because the Panama currency is pegged to US dollars. You can just spend US dollars as you want. And, it's weather is kind of like Houston, a little bit more humid, I guess. Yes. Right. But, it's easier to get by, and there's a lot of, you can find anything you need in Panama City. So it's pretty great.
Exactly. And, if you saw our beginning, we talk about chronically healthy life, and the I in life was for independence. And of course, we always are talking about independence with health, right? But, we also do want people to think about independence with their finances. And, for me, Minna, more so Minna, she's always looking 10, 20, 30 years ahead on our finances. And it's so funny growing up, my dad always said, you have to be a millionaire, because if you if you own $1 million house, you're a millionaire. Well, that was so totally different when we're in California, when $1 million house is just, let's just say, a regular house, right? So $1 million isn't a big deal anymore. So for us, we always are talking about, for independence, you can always move to somewhere that is less expensive. A lot of times it could be just moving to the next city over in your state, or in our case, leaving the state altogether to move to Texas.
Yeah, retirement isn't about how much money you have. It's about how that money is going to get you, right? So you can, if the same amount is going to get your house here, but the same amount of money is going to get you cover your entire retirement in another place, that might be the way that you could consider going, right? Because like when you talk about retirement, it's not just about your living expenses.
Yes.
Right? It's about your medical, your having fun, your traveling, cars and everything, right? So it's not just about where you live. It's a whole package.
Exactly. And that's why, like, me and Min has been traveling to Mexico. And one of my friends said, well, is Panama Canal or Panama City part of your retirement plan? And like Minna says, it really has all the amenities, but the cost of living was a little bit higher there than Mexico, I found. But it definitely has benefits. So whether, like I said, similar to Houston, and of course, spending in US dollars is so easy, you don't have to do the conversion anymore.
Yeah, and if you live in the United States and they have all the United States retail that you can find, so you won't miss anything there. As opposed to moving to some other places, you might get homesick after a while because you're missing the KFC. the KFC, the McDonald's, and they have all the Canadian coffee bean and tea there, right? And something that was actually really cool that I didn't know that I wanted to share for this is sort of health related, was a lot of the stuff there were kosher, which is very interesting too, right? In which case, being kosher, you almost automatically means it's more or less grass-fed, it's whole food, less GMO, right? I know that's not how kosher is marketed, but all kosher stuff would be having those characteristics. So I thought that was actually pretty cool though. Yeah, I mean, if you talk about food, right, how it's grown, it's different from place to place.
Yes.
And it doesn't, just because it's not certified organic doesn't mean it's not grown in a healthy way.
Exactly.
So it just depends on where you are.
Exactly. And their agriculture, they grow all their own fruits and vegetables there. So that's another bonus too, right? So always, like Minna says, when you're talking about retiring, look at the whole package, right? And like I said, we're looking 10, 15 years from now. Maybe we'll stay in the States, maybe we'll be in Mexico. We'll see. But, it's always good to have an excuse for some R&R, to unwind, to relax that rubber band, right?
So who's our guest today?
Today, our guest is Carrie West. And to be honest, I'm very intrigued. I haven't spoke to her in person. I was going through her website. I was reading a little of her excerpts, and I was following her a little bit. I was almost like was stalking her a little bit on the internet, right? And she sounds so interesting. I really am looking forward to what she's going to talk about today. And, I believe she has a lot of things that line up with our values. We're so looking forward to hearing her interview today and how she's going to help all you out there. What's a narrative coach? I'm actually very interested.
Great. So we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to have Christy and Carrie with us.
We'll see you there.
An empowered life has no expiration date. We're all created to do incredible things. Like conquer summits, catch big waves, and live our passions. As time goes on, our bodies begin to show signs that things just aren't as they used to be. Our energy levels decline, sleep patterns shift, and recovery slows. But our bodies are masterpieces of design, holding the potential to bounce back better than ever. With X39, we achieved something remarkable in the field of wellness and regenerative science that others could not. By utilizing LifeWave's unique patented technology, X39 uses light to elevate GHKCU, a copper peptide known to support overall health and wellness. Unlike traditional light therapy, which requires external light sources, X39 uses the body's own infrared light to naturally increase vitality, enhancing the body's flow of natural energy. For improvements in strength, stamina, performance, and overall health and well-being, with the simplicity of an affordable, non-invasive, non-transdermal patch. As we age, levels of these life-enhancing elements, which are associated with wellness and longevity, begin to decline. LifeWave invested 10 years into stem cell research, which resulted in over 70 patents. X39 was born to bring to the public a product that can support wellness in an entirely new way, supporting the production of younger, healthier cells with wearable light technology. Becoming a powerhouse is easier than you think. Harness your body's natural potential to maintain youthful energy and vitality, because life comes at you fast, but it doesn't have to pass you by. Live long, live well, live young. Be the light with LifeWave X39. LifeWave.
Why do 98% of beauty enthusiasts rave about coolness? It's all in the blend of ancient wisdom and modern science. Introducing Coolness, Pearlescent Face and Eye Serum Cream. This powerhouse combines the antioxidative power of schisandra berries, the glow of pearl powder, and the hydrating wonders of dragon's blood extract. It's like a time machine for your skin, making it radiant, firm, and oh so smooth. Inspired by ancient Chinese traditions and backed by modern nutritional science, this serum cream is perfect for dry, mature, and aging skin. It's time to unlock your inner glow with Coolness. Treat your skin to the best of both worlds today.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Chronically Healthy Life show. I am so happy to introduce you today to Carrie KC West. She is an international best-selling author, speaker, and narrative coach. With her unique background in Hollywood storytelling, Carrie helps individuals break free from limiting narratives and rewrite the stories that shape their lives. If you feel stuck, unfulfilled, or ready for a fresh perspective, Life Rewritten offers personalized coaching, workshops, and insights to help you craft a life story that aligns with your true purpose. Through storytelling, you'll discover how to turn challenges into opportunities, embrace your authentic self, and start living the life you've always envisioned. Welcome, Carrie, to the show.
I have no idea what to say after that. Like, I can leave now. Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.
Well, our topic today is becoming the author of your health story, which I love how empowering that is.
Yes. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, how did you get started on this track?
It's interesting. I had a lot of challenges in the beginning of my life. And as a result, I started going to therapy, and then I discovered metaphysics and meditation. So I was trying everything. Then I went to film school. And in the middle of one of our film projects, we were talking about characters and themes and plots and endings and taking characters on these journeys. And as we were doing that, I realized my life was a story. I had characters, I had themes, I had repeating plots, kept going on and on and on. And I went, uh-oh. Then they started talking about how you rewrite this. And if you've ever worked on a Hollywood set, they send in every day, just before they film, where are today's rewrites? So they're always rewriting stuff, even the day of filming, even well into filming. So any movie you see, any TV show you see, it's changing all the time. So that led me to believe, well, darn, can't I rewrite my life? It's underway. It's being filmed somewhere in the universe. It's being filmed. So can I rewrite it? So I went to work and I started looking at the characters in my life. I started looking at the themes. I started looking at the plots. I started looking at how I repeated plots, and then I started seeing how many unhappy endings I had. And I said, hold on a minute, I want happy endings. So all of that work led to me not only working with clients, but it led to my book, Life Rewritten, which is the overview of how you can start seeing your life as a story.
And you are the hero of your own journey.
I am.
Yes.
More importantly, I'm the star.
Yes.
I am the star. I am the A-list star of my story. And we all need to be the A-list star of all of our own stories. That's critical. But then the important thing was I started taking it apart. Whereas Life Rewritten is the overview of all of it, I started looking at money rewritten. How can we change our money stories? How can we change our health story, which really came alive, and so on. There were so many that came out of this, because even though we have a life, we have a lot of subplots. When you see a TV show, you have the main plot, then you have all the subplots. And so that's where I started getting very interested in our health stories.
Oh, yes, because without that story, what are you, in bed? Or, I mean, what's the point in there's no life.
Exactly.
If you don't have your health.
Exactly. So as a narrative coach, that's what I do. I help you find the narrative that's affecting the issue.
Well, I'm guessing that a lot of that narrative can come from childhood.
Absolutely.
The way we're programmed.
Absolutely. We start every one of these processes, and this is a big part of my book and a part of the work, is your origin story. If you think about it, in a movie and in a TV show, you get the backstory. Some of them are masterful, how you get the whole backstory in a couple of sentences. And you know from the set, from the settings, from the costumes that they're wearing, who this character is. So it's important to know your backstory. And what I do with my clients is I take them to, when you're born, you're a whole new being, but you've walked into the middle of the theater that's already in Act 2. Your parents have had a story that's been going on for any number of years, depending on how old they are. And then do you have other characters in that story? Do you have siblings? Do you have extended family, cousins living with your family? How do you interact with them? Did they interact with them? So here you are, brand new. Oh my God, it's light out here and very noisy. And you're placed into this whole setting of these strangers. The only one you really recognize is probably your mom and your dad, or a couple others that were around when you were in utero. But then all these other strangers and all this information is just flying at you. And you take it all in. And you start forming stories. And then you start getting socialized, meaning you go to school and you meet people outside the family. And then you get more socialized. And this is where you start, from your family, you start hearing about, you have to brush your teeth every day. The dentist tells you have to brush your teeth every day. And I do believe that. So I'm not trying to knock that. But then I feel like doctors have gotten a bad rap. Doctors have been given this role of God. When a doctor tells you this is what you must do, you must listen to the doctor. And I've heard so many stories. I don't know if anyone on this program knows the details and the statistics around it, but I've heard a lot of stories about how doctors have a high degree, doctors and nurses in the medical field have a high degree of drug use and alcoholism because the pressure they're under. They have life and death in their hands. And then we all go in and say, will you save me? Will you heal me? I'm powerless against everything. You know how to heal me. And it's like, no. And fortunately for me, because I didn't have a very good beginning in life, I was rejecting everything people told me. I was a cynic and rejected the whole story. And so when they told me I had to listen to this doctor, I'll never forget, I was in a dentist, and the dentist was like, well, Carrie, you have to. And the minute somebody would say you have to, I looked at him and I said, really? Why? And my mother was sitting there and going, would you stop arguing with the doctor? I said, well, I want to understand why I have to do what he's telling me to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's my teeth.
Yeah.
How do I know? How do I know he's telling me the truth? I said that to him. How do I know you're telling me the truth? And my mother was humiliated. And the doctor was like, well, blah, 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 blah. I've studied for decades. And okay, well,
Who? Well, then there's the question of, yeah, okay, you studied for decades, but who trained you?
Right. Right. and here's the other thing. We are unique. Each one of us is unique. So what works for you, Christy, won't work for me. Or it will, but not in the same way.
Right. Or it'll work beautifully for my friend that lives next door to me, but for you, maybe everybody has to find, it's the same with diet.
Yes.
There are some people who thrive on a vegan diet, and maybe there's a reason that their bodies need that. And then there are other people who it makes them ill.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I get judged so much. I'm in California, so I get judged so much from people not in California who say, there's a lot of vegetarians and vegans, and it's like, well, not me. I'm a steak and burger kind of a gal. And they're like, oh my goodness, you eat steaks and you're in California. Well, yeah, I mean, we eat steaks. Come on. we have ranches here too. We do eat meat. But it's up to you. It's up to you. Mm-hmm. And you're in charge. You are empowered. And so when I start looking at your stories, the goal is to empower you and to ask questions and to challenge. And again, I feel so bad for doctors because they carry this weight of having to cure the world.
Yeah.
I don't want to put that on anybody.
No, no. The only person that you should be carrying is yourself.
Exactly. Exactly. Christy, I'm not going to tell you what's going to work for you. I might say, this works for me, but it may not fit you. We have to be discerning. We have to be discerning, and we have to look at why.
Yes.
And we also have to understand the stories we were given that lead us on a path. I've told this story many times about my sister who felt like she only got love when she was sick. So even at the ripe old age that she is now, and she's younger than me, so she's not a ripe old age. She will every once in a while call me and say, I'm not feeling well today. And I'll say to her, is this for real, or have I been ignoring you and you just need me to pay attention to you? And she said, oh, good question. Let me think about that. And then she'll hang up and she'll text me, no, I'm good.
Interesting.
So I'll say to her, look, if you feel like you need to hear from me, or you feel like I haven't talked to you in a while, call me. I'm really busy right now promoting this new series, the Rewritten series. So I apologize if I am missing you, but you don't have to be sick to get my attention. Mm-hmm. I know that's how mom paid attention to you, but you don't need to be sick to get my attention.
Is that helping?
Greatly. It's and that's not an uncommon thing that happens. Mm-hmm. We learn as children that sometimes mom will pay more attention to you when you get a cold, when you get a fever, when you fall down. So we start to associate love and affection with having some issue with our health.
Yes. And children don't realize usually that mom has a lot of responsibility on her shoulders, and that, especially if she's a working mom, paying the bills, if there's a husband involved or whatever, lots of things. And,
and one of the freeing things you can start to do, no matter how old you are or how young you are, is start seeing your parents as people and not your parents, and taking that weight off of them, just like with doctors.
Yeah.
Whenever I go to a doctor, I always insist on calling them by their first name, because I say, you and I are equals. I'm relying on you for your expertise to do something,
Mhm.
and I'm taking charge of my health. So will you partner with me? I want a partner relationship. I don't want to say, please fix me, please heal me. I know I have things to do in my body to keep it healthy and strong, but I need you to help me, because you studied, you have all this information in you. Otherwise, I guess I'll have to start checking AI, and then I'm not going to really trust that, because it's like looking up all your health ailments on the internet and seeing like, oh my God.
Which is also programmed by the powers that be and not and suppresses information. So
but again, it's also based on a skewed system. It's not about your specific issues. So you take the information from the doctor and you say, well, I don't respond well to ... And if the doctor says, well, you need to take ... and it's like, well, I know me, I don't respond well to that. Can we try something else? So what else do you have in your bag of magic tricks? And I know there's sometimes gone in for tests, and the nurses will say, I need a whole list of your medications. And it's like, I don't have any.
Yeah. I know. They don't believe you.
You must. No. Then they say, well, we're about to give you this. And if you don't tell us your medications, we could have adverse effects. It's like, don't worry about it. I'm not on any medication.
Yeah.
But you're right. They don't believe me.
They don't believe me or my mother either. My mother is 86 and she must be on 1,000 medications.
Exactly.
I must be a negligent daughter and caregiver for not having her on 1,000 medications. Like,
exactly.
Tell me, she doesn't need anything.
and at the other side of it too, I have to say there are some. My mother-in-law is 97 years old, so she does have, she's on warfarin. She has a very, very bad heart, and warfarin and those kinds of things have really helped her. So I'm not saying that there isn't stuff that could provide value. What I'm saying is, think about it.
Yeah.
Be engaged. Be accountable for your own health.
That is the key. And it applies to everything. It applies to be accountable for your money, be accountable for your relationships.
Yes.
For your happiness.
Exactly.
Well, I think when we come back, Carrie has some very cool tips to give us about empowering ourselves and becoming the hero of our own journeys. So I love thinking that. I've never thought of myself that way. So that's pretty cool. I want to get into that.
Yeah.
So we'll be right back after these messages.
A life empowered is closer than you think. We're all looking for a better way. Reimagine what's next with a new sense of exuberance. Why not power on like you mean it? Or power off blissfully? A better sleep is a better awake. You've never moved like this before. With the energy nature intended. Imagine reprogramming the way you look at the speed of science, at longevity, at exhilaration. It's next level rejuvenation. Take control of your well-being from the inside out and outside in. The light within is ready to ignite. Be the light. LifeWave.
Imagine a life where every day is fueled by energy, vitality, and purpose. Where age is just a number and your best years are always ahead. Hi, I'm Andy Nam, certified functional nutrition longevity coach, best-selling author, and international speaker. After reversing my own chronic health struggles, I'm now on a mission to help you live longer, stronger, and of course to look younger. I combine biohacking, cutting-edge nutrition, and stem cell technology to unlock your body's full potential. So no matter where your starting point is, I'm going to guide you toward a chronically healthy life. Ready to reverse aging and take control of your future? Connect with me today. Your journey to longevity starts here.
Hello and welcome back to the Chronically Healthy Life Show. We are here with our guest, Carrie West, a narrative coach, which is so interesting to me. So, Carrie, let's jump into how we can start rewriting our narratives. Like, what would be a good starting point for that?
There's actually two. The first one is thinking about your childhood and what your life was like, what your family was like, what your relationship was in your family. I know a lot of people I've talked to have issues around diet because they were always told, clean your plate. You must eat everything on your plate. And so we didn't honor our bodies. We ate even if we were full because we were told we had to. So it starts there. Like you had said before, it's the origin story. So that's the first step. Look there. And then the next thing we do is to be aware. Be aware where we have what I call, for lack of a better term, plot points that keep repeating. You know, if we are constantly struggling with diet, if we are constantly feeling pain or having, like you said, chronic health issues, if that's going on, look at that and understand why. Not to judge. I every time I don't judge. This is not about judging. This is about understanding and saying, a lot of these things that got ingrained to us were not only things we inherited, but they were inherited from people that it was inherited by them. It's generational. So some of these stories get pulled down from hundreds of years ago. So this isn't to judge. This is just to understand so we can stop the cycle. When you see it, when you can see your repeated patterns, the repeated plots and your narrative story around health, then you can do something about it. One of the things I also recommend is look for those micro moments of change. And a micro moment of change is when, people get afraid of change. They think change is some big sweeping thing that you have to do. It isn't. Change happens in micro moments. It's when you feel that in your body and you say, hold on, I'm going to react differently. It's when the doctor says, I have to do a biopsy. The doctor said.
The doctor
said, stop. Take a breath. How can I respond differently to that fear that just came crashing through my body because the doctor said we have to do a biopsy?
I have to tell you a funny story about that.
Please.
Okay, I have a friend who is an actress, by the way, and
I'm sorry.
She called me one day and she goes, in one breath, she said, I just came from the doctor. He says I have a lump and I need a biopsy, and took a breath and said, I'm dying of cancer. I'm like, whoa, wait, that leap, no. And she could not hear me. And and then she called me about a week later. She'd called every single person in her family and told them she was dying of cancer. And then it turned out to be just a little nothing.
Benign thing. Yeah. We all have lumps in our bodies. and again, sometimes, and this is I'm not going to name names, but sometimes there are medical practices that look for things they can test with you to keep their billing up. It's not about, and that's the unfortunate thing about what's happened in this country. The medical world has become what do they call it? A monetized center. It's a financial center. It's for the board of directors. We have to keep our receivables up. We have to keep our incomes, our revenues up. So we have to make sure we do 10 tests every day, or we have to sign up for all these tests. And don't worry, they're on insurance, so we can add this to the thing. It's so screwed up how the insurance system and our medical system have just taken control. And
Yes.
and yeah, but isn't it true? That's when the doctor says you're going to do a biopsy. She made such a leap, and yeah, so it became part of her drama
Yeah.
to share with all of her friends. So if you want to change that, first take a breath. Okay, biopsy doesn't have to mean anything,
Doesn't.
and also understand that she got a lot of energy out of. I get to call all my friends now and say I have cancer.
Oh yeah. When it was over, she was actually disappointed. She was like, "I'm going to have a double mastectomy. I'm just cutting them off." And I'm like, you we've been on the phone for less than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, stop, just stop.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So the other thing, you're leading to my third point, which is have someone you can reach out to. Hopefully a coach who will calm you down if you get into one of those moments. Get a coach that you can call, or a friend, or somebody who will talk you off that ledge, because that's what happens. You get triggered, you go there, and then, like you said, they can get disappointed because it's part of their story.
Yes.
So now, go ahead.
Well, I was just thinking that really we're assuming that they want that, because like in her case, she wanted the drama. She was so deep into the drama, she was digging it, and she didn't want to be talked off the ledge.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
and that's true for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So, and you have to honor that in them. You can't force everybody to do it this way, but it's important that we have conversations like this, and we have programs like this, so people who are really looking to make those changes have the place to go to, that they can trust, that they can rely. Because I will tell you, there's so much uncertainty in the world right now around everything. It's not just health, it's around everything. There's a lack of trust in what we're getting in the news and what we're reading online. So people need to find places where they can find good information and reliable answers to their questions, and good people to support them.
Yes, that is critical. Yes,
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. People are kind of building their tribes these days. A lot of us don't really have family connections. We've had to leave families for very dysfunctional families, and we're the ones that are weird because we're going, I'm not going to do that anymore.
Yeah. I if most of my family weren't gone, I'm sure I'd be the black sheep. I think I told you this. I was the black sheep of my family growing up, and for a long time that humiliated me. But now it's like, kudos. I want to be the person, and I am the person that will question.
Yeah.
I will be discerning, and I will take responsibility for my choices and what I'm doing.
Questions.
Sure.
I love that. People are so afraid, like with the doctor is God thing, to ask a question. Oh, he said I need this drug. Really? Do you really need it?
Yep.
Or do you or what if you're allergic to it? Then what happens?
Yep.
What if there's another way to solve the problem?
I'll tell you what, I've got a great story for that. A great one. My partner, who is British, had a very different lifestyle than I did. And when he and I got together, he was very much into, doctors this, doctors that. Well, he had high blood pressure, and he tried everything. He tried all the different things you could do, but the chemicals, the medicine really helped him. So when we moved here to California, he went to this doctor, and they gave him this one specific drug. And I said, "Are you sure? You were really doing well on your other drug. Are you sure? What the doctor say? Is this good?" And he's like, No. The doctor said it's fine. We're fine." Okay. Well, we went out to dinner one night, and he said, "I'm not feeling well." And he stood up to walk away from the table, and I watched, and he just went plunk.
Oh.
And fell right over on his face.
Oh.
And we had to call the ambulance. He broke his jaw, and I was petrified. I thought, what the heck? Did he have a heart attack? Did he have a stroke? What happened? Well, this medication they gave him drained out all his potassium. So he had, when you stand up and you get that woo
Head
sometimes.
rush.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's always about potassium. I'm not going to go that far, but when he stood up, it did something to him, and he broke his fall with his jaw.
Oh.
And I said, this is where you really have to understand. And sometimes they go too far. If you listen to any of the side effects, when you see a commercial for drugs on TV, it's like 17,000 side effects, including death, but not limited to death. And it's like, what are we doing here that we have these medications?
Yeah.
You have to be informed about what you're putting in your body. And he has since, changed completely. And he's now a believer of what I've been talking about from the beginning with him, because that frightened him. That situation frightened him extensively. He had no idea how that could have happened to him, because he's a healthy person, very healthy. So.
Yeah, chemical imbalance will do that to you. Electrolytes are important.
Yeah, and this just totally stole his potassium. And, I was relieved that it wasn't a stroke or a heart attack, but I was also like, how does this happen? How do you get prescribed these things that can do this to you? So.
Yeah. How long did it take him to recover from the broken jaw? Because that's just horrifying.
It was really only a 2-week process. It wasn't. Yes, he had to be locked up for a while. He had to drink through a straw for a while, but it was only 2 weeks, really. And
that's not bad.
We had a great surgeon. We found this surgeon that was awesome, and I knew the minute I met him, it was like, all right, this guy's good. And it got all solved. But it was the underlying reason was the high blood pressure, and again, I'm not going to say you can never ever do this, but think about where it fits into your lifestyle, and where does it fit into what you believe about your health and what your story is. And again, he's had some differences of opinions than I have when it comes to health, but from that moment, all of a sudden, he now checks on everything. He doesn't just accept anything that the doctor gives him without questioning and saying, is this good for me? I call it being an advocate for your health. And he has been an advocate for his health. And yeah, we understand the role of the medical profession in our lives. Understand the role of medicine in our lives. Understand the purpose for these things. And being informed. So
that's really important also, because especially for women, how many times has a woman been told she's depressed and just needs to go home and, talk to her husband, which is code for, other things, which I can't say on live TV. And it's just like, what? If I'm depressed, they don't even do a blood test to see if maybe you do have a chemical imbalance.
Exactly.
Or your electrolytes are low or something.
Exactly.
So,
and the hormone imbalance, when I was first dealing with hormone stuff, I went to the doctor and I said, I need, are you going to do hormone replacement or what? And they said, well, your insurance only covers, what's one of those antidepressants?
Oh, what? I don't know.
It was one of the standard antidepressants. And I said, what's an antidepressant have to do with hormones? And they said, well, the insurance companies have been told from the
pharmaceutical company?
What's the medical association? The
AMA.
The AMA, that the only responsible treatment for women's hormone issues are antidepressants. So the insurance companies don't cover any kind of hormone therapies.
Yep, because we're all just depressed.
Yes. It's not your hormones, you're depressed.
It's not your abusive husband, you're just depressed. It's no change. Don't think about your life and your choices and how you can empower yourself. You just take this drug.
Exactly. So, but we get to question that. And fortunately for me, I could afford the hormone replacement, the hormone therapy, but there's a lot of women who can't. And that's a whole nother conversation. We have to get into insurance rewritten. I should add that to another book, insurance rewritten. Oh my
There's
God.
There's also the dietary part of it, because a lot of your hormones can balance with the right foods. And again,
yes.
Depending on your own body, what that is. Like for me, if I just do better if I don't eat grains. I eat a lot of vegetables and fruit, but not grains. Grains just, I don't do real well with grains. So, but someone else is fine. So you have to find the thing that works for you and listen to your body. That's the key.
Exactly. And forget the stories you were told.
Be
your own advocate.
Yes.
Write your own story for your own body and what works for you. What works for you? It doesn't have to be what works for me.
And that applies to everything,
Yes.
I think I shared with you that after I left my abusive ex-husband, that I wrote a whole bunch of stories where I killed him over and over in many different ways, because it was therapy. It was mental health therapy for myself, but it was harmless because I wasn't doing anything to anybody. I was just writing them down to get it out of my system, which helped me purge and heal my emotional state. So
yes. Expressing yourself always helps healing, whether you write it down or speak it or video it. Even though in my books I talk about journaling, there's many ways to journal. You can do video journals and audio journals and artwork, video, scrapbook journals with cutouts from magazines. Do we have magazines anymore? Are there any magazines out in the world?
I don't know.
But working with images, you can journal with images, and all of that helps you get that out. But you have to get it out.
You have to get
that energy out of your body. You're not harming anyone. You're just removing it from you. So you're not harming yourself.
Yes. And the other part of that is exercising.
Mm-hmm.
And, she's an acquaintance, not really a friend. She's a bodybuilder. That is not my thing. I swim, but she hates swimming. So, but you do what you love.
Yes.
And it helps you with all that.
And if you do what you love, you're going to do it.
Yes. That is the key.
If you try to be a bodybuilder and you hate it, you're not going to do it.
No.
And that's okay. Okay.
It's all okay. Carrie, I could talk to you just forever. But how can people find you out in the world?
My website, carriekcwest.com, and that's CarrieKCWest.com, or email me at carrie@carriekcwest.com. My book, like I said, Life Rewritten, starts the whole discussion about how our stories have affected our lives. Money Rewritten will be out first quarter next year, and then Health Rewritten after that, because I am challenging messages we've been given from day one, so we live this healthy, independent life.
I love it. And the QR code goes to your book.
Yay.
So that if you guys just take a snap and you can go right to her book. Carrie, thank you so much for coming on today. You are just such a beautiful soul. I really enjoyed this.
I did too. Thank you. I really appreciated this.
All right, everybody, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hi, everybody. Christy here. Okay, our next tip for stocking your child's backpack. And again, this is for elementary school kids, K through 5. And stocking them with things that don't make your teacher crazy, that actually make them love you. Next, we have pencils. This is kind of a big deal. Please do not give elementary kids mechanical pencils. The lead breaks. They're distracting. The kids are always clicking them, pulling out the bottom lead, refilling the lead. It is such a time waste. Please, no mechanical pencils for kids that are in elementary school. Same with the paper wrapped pencils. Yeah, they're pretty, but the paper, when it just destroys pencil sharpeners. So the kids are using the pencil sharpeners and they make a huge mess, and it's just not worth the pretty. It's just not. We say yes to just regular basic pencils, either the yellow or the black Ticonderogas. Those are all good with the number 2 lead. And if you can get them at the store pre-sharpened, it's even better, because then we don't spend the first day of class if everybody in line to sharpen their pencils. A little tip, just send 1 or 2 pencils in your backpack with your kids, because they lose them. So reserve them and dole them out as needed. It's a good strategy.
Have you encountered a situation or an event in your life that's caused you to feel stuck? You were on a journey to live your best life, but thoughts and feelings from the past keep showing up and has caused you to feel like you're not headed in the right direction or being the best version of you. Meet Jessica Hammock, trauma recovery and transformation coach. Not only will she teach you about emotional and mental health, she's here to help you unwind the treasure of who you are from the trauma of your past, so that you can walk in the truth of your identity and break free from what is holding you back, so you're able to nurture the best version of who you're meant to be. The time is now. Let's get started.
Welcome back to Chronically Healthy Life. That was an amazing interview. It was one of the situations, you know how when you go to church and it feels like what do you call it? The pastor is talking directly to you, and a lot of stuff that she's talking about so lines up with our values. Talking about the stories that you have that are pre-written for you, or even changing your bad endings, because so many people are in that victim. The victim mindset that they think they're always going to have a bad ending. Like she says, you can always rewrite your story. That was amazing.
Yeah, she's very refreshing. And the way she put it is that, we are here to write our own story, right? And if you don't write your own story, you became somebody else's story.
Exactly. And, when she talked about the doctors asking why, great question. Ask them why, right? And I love what their answer may be refreshing, and always ask about the potential side effects. You heard, her loved one falling because of potassium depleted from the body, right? That maybe they should have told you that you can faint and break your jaw. You never know, right? So once again, not dishing doctors. Doctors are great to put you back together, but always question when it comes onto medication. Do you really need it? And if you do need it, what are the potential side effects? So you are aware of things that can happen.
Yep. If they can't answer you why you need it, I would find a different doctor.
Exactly. Well, next week we have John Course. Definitely going to be a fun interview. And that's it for this week's Chronically Healthy Life. Thank you for sharing your space, the space with us. We're honored to be a part of your journey towards healing, hope, and longevity. Join us again Friday at 7 p.m. CST on E360TV.com on the Vitality TV network, or rewatch on YouTube.com/at Chronically Healthy Life.
And of course, if you want to look as good as you feel, check out our new skincare line, Kunis.com. We are also now on Amazon with 2-day Prime shipping. Yay!
Yay! And until next time, stay vibrant, stay strong, and stay chronically healthy. We'll see you next week.